Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my other socials for more. Enjoy. This was Andrea's first time out in public presenting as her true self. For years, she had kept her identity as a crossdresser hidden, exploring her feminine side only in the privacy of her own home. But tonight, everything changed. She took a deep breath, the scent of perfume and excitement filling her lungs as she made her way to the bar. "Vodka tonic, please," she said to the bartender, her voice slightly shaky. As she waited for her drink, she couldn't help but feel a mix of exhilaration and terror. What if someone recognized her? What if she didn't pass? The thoughts swirled in her mind like a whirlpool of anxiety. "Here you go, miss," the bartender said, sliding the drink across the bar. Andrea's heart leapt at being addressed as Miss. It was a small victory, but it meant the world to her. As she sipped her drink, she felt a presence beside her. Turning slightly, she found herself face to face with a handsome man with kind eyes and an easy smile. "Hi there," he said, his voice warm and inviting. "I'm Jay. Mind if I join you?" Andrea hesitated for a moment before nodding. "Sure," she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "I'm Andrea." Jay settled onto the bar stool next to her, ordering a beer for himself. "So, Andrea, are you enjoying the night?" She nodded, feeling a bit more at ease. "It's interesting. It's my first time at this club." "Well, you picked a great night," Jay said, his eyes twinkling. "There's actually something special happening next weekend. Have you heard about the alternative adult prom?" Andrea shook her head, intrigued. "No, what's that?" Jay's face lit up as he explained. "It's this amazing event where adults get to relive their prom night or experience it for the first time if they missed out. It's inclusive, fun, and a great way to meet people. Would you be interested in going?" Andrea's heart raced at the thought. A prom? She had never been to one as her true self. The idea was both thrilling and terrifying. I don't know," she stammered. "I've never been to anything like that before." Jay's smile was reassuring. "Hey, no pressure, but if you decide you want to go, I'd love to be your date. Here's my number." He scribbled on a napkin and slid it towards her. "Think about it, okay?" As Jay moved away to join his friends, Andrea stared at the napkin, her mind whirling with possibilities. A date? To a prom? It seemed too good to be true. The next day, Andrea sat in her living room, staring at her phone. Jay's number glared back at her from the screen, daring her to make the call. She had spent the entire morning going back and forth, weighing the pros and cons of accepting his invitation. On one hand, the thought of going to a prom as her true self filled her with excitement. It was a chance to experience something she had missed out on in her youth, to fully embrace her identity in a celebratory setting. On the other hand, the anxiety was overwhelming. What if she made a fool of herself? What if people judged her? With trembling fingers, she dialed her best friend, Stephanie's number. If anyone could help her make this decision, it was Stephanie. "Hey, girl?" Stephanie's cheerful voice came through the speaker. "What's up?" Andrea took a deep breath. "Steph, I need your advice. I met this guy at the club last night, and he invited me to this alternative adult prom thing. I don't know what to do." There was a pause on the other end of the line, then an excited squeal. "Oh my God, Andrea, that's amazing! Tell me everything!" For the next hour, Andrea recounted every detail of her encounter with Jay, from his kind smile to the way he had so casually invited her to the prom. Stephanie listened intently, occasionally interjecting with excited comments. "So what do you think?" Andrea asked, her voice tinged with uncertainty. "Should I go?" "Are you kidding me?" Stephanie exclaimed. "Of course you should go. This is a perfect opportunity for you to fully embrace who you are. Plus, this Jay guy sounds like a total catch." Andrea chewed her lip nervously. "But what if I'm not ready? What if I make a fool of myself?" Stephanie's voice softened. "Honey, you've been ready for this for a long time. You've just been waiting for the right moment. This is it. And as for making a fool of yourself, that's what friends are for. I'll help you prepare. We'll find the perfect dress, do your makeup, everything. You're going to knock Jay's socks off. A warmth spread through Andrea's chest at her friend's words. Maybe Stephanie was right. Maybe this was her moment. Okay, she said, a smile spreading across her face. I'll do it. I'll go to the prom. That's my girl, Stephanie cheered. Now call that handsome man back and tell him you're in, then get your butt over here. We've got some serious prom planning to do. With newfound determination, Andrea hung up and dialed Jay's number. As the phone rang, she felt a mix of nervousness and excitement bubbling up inside her. Hello? Jay's warm voice came through the speaker. Hi, Jay. It's Andrea from the club last night. Andrea, I'm so glad you called. How are you? His genuine enthusiasm made her smile. I'm good, thanks. I was calling about the prom. If the offer still stands, I'd love to go with you. There was a moment of silence, and Andrea's heart dropped. Had she misread the situation? But then Jay's voice came back full of joy. Really? That's fantastic. I was hoping you'd say yes. I promise you we're going to have an amazing time. They chatted for a few more minutes, ironing out the details. Jay would pick her up at 7 p.m. on Saturday, and they'd go to dinner before heading to the prom. As they said their goodbyes, Andrea felt a flutter of excitement in her stomach. This was really happening. The week leading up to the prom was a whirlwind of preparation. True to her word, Stephanie threw herself into helping Andrea get ready. They spent hours scouring boutiques for the perfect dress, finally settling on a stunning emerald green gown that hugged her. You look absolutely gorgeous, Stephanie gushed as Andrea twirled in front of the mirror. Jay won't know what hit him. Despite her friend's enthusiasm, Andrea couldn't shake her nerves. What if I can't walk in these heels? What if my makeup looks terrible? What if... Stephanie cut her off with a firm but gentle hand on her shoulder. Stop right there. You've been practicing in those heels all week, and you're practically a pro now. As for your makeup, that's what I'm here for. Trust me, by the time I'm done with you, you'll look like a movie star. On the night of the prom, Andrea stood in front of her full-length mirror, hardly recognizing the woman staring back at her. The emerald dress shimmered in the light, its off-shoulder neckline accentuating her collarbones. Stephanie had worked magic with her makeup, giving her a smoky eye that made her hazel eyes pop and a nude lip that looked perfectly natural. Her chestnut hair, usually hidden under a wig, had been styled into soft waves that framed her face. For the first time, Andrea had decided to use her own hair, a decision that felt both terrifying and liberating. As she gave herself one last once-over, the doorbell rang. Andrea's heart leapt into her throat. Jay was here. With shaky legs, she made her way to the door, pausing for a moment to take a deep breath before opening it. Jay stood on the other side, looking dashing in a well-fitted black suit. His eyes widened as he took in Andrea's appearance, a slow smile spreading across his face. Wow, he breathed. Andrea, you look absolutely stunning. Andrea felt a blush creep up her cheeks. Thank you, she said softly. You look very handsome yourself. Jay offered his arm. Shall we? As they walked to Jay's car, Andrea couldn't help but feel like she was living in a dream. The cool night air caressed her skin, the stars twinkling overhead as if in approval of this magical evening. Dinner was a delightful affair at a cozy Italian restaurant. Jay was attentive and charming, keeping the conversation flowing effortlessly. As they shared a tiramisu for dessert, Andrea found herself relaxing more and more in his presence. I have to admit, Jay said, his voice taking on a more serious tone, I was a bit nervous about tonight. Andrea looked at him in surprise. You were? Why? Jay smiled sheepishly. Well, I really like you, Andrea, and I wanted everything to be perfect for your first prom experience. I hope I'm not overstepping, but I sensed that this was a big step for you, and I wanted to make sure you felt comfortable and celebrated. His words touched Andrea deeply. She reached across the table, placing her hand over his. Thank you, Jay. That means more to me than you know. And for the record, I really like you too. The moment was interrupted by the waiter bringing their check, but the warmth of their shared confession lingered between them as they made their way to the prom venue. The alternative adult prom was being held in a beautifully decorated ballroom. Streamers and balloons in every color of the rainbow adorned the walls and ceiling, and a giant disco ball cast sparkling lights across the dance floor. People of all ages, sizes, and gender expressions filled the room, laughing, dancing, and enjoying themselves. As they entered, Andrea felt a moment of panic. What if someone realized she wasn't a cisgender woman? What if they judged her? But then she felt Jay's hand on the small of her back, a gentle, reassuring presence. "You okay?" he asked softly. She nodded, taking a deep breath. "Yeah, I'm okay, just a little overwhelmed." "We can take it slow," Jay assured her. "Why don't we get some punch and find a place to sit for a bit?" They made their way to the refreshment table, where they were greeted by a bubbly woman with bright pink hair. "Welcome to the prom, darlings," she exclaimed. "I'm Maggie, one of the organizers. First time?" Andrea nodded, still feeling a bit shy. Maggie's smile widened. "Well, you're in for a treat. This is a judgment-free zone. Everyone here is just looking to have a good time and be themselves, so relax, enjoy the music, and if you need anything at all, just find me or one of the other organizers wearing these snazzy rainbow sashes." As Maggie moved on to greet other arrivals, Andrea felt some of her tension melting away. She looked around the room, taking in the joyful atmosphere. People of all kinds were mingling freely, their laughter and chatter filling the air with a sense of camaraderie and acceptance. Jay gently guided her to a table near the dance floor. As they sipped their punch, he regaled her with funny stories from his own high school prom, making her laugh and further easing her nerves. As the evening progressed, Andrea found herself relaxing more and more. She and Jay danced to fast-paced pop songs, laughing as they tried to keep up with the beat. During a particularly energetic number, Andrea caught a glimpse of herself in one of the mirrored walls. Her cheeks were flushed with excitement, her eyes sparkling with joy. For the first time in her life, she felt truly, completely herself. When a slow song came on, Jay held out his hand. "May I have this dance?" he asked with a playful bow. Andrea giggled, placing her hand in his. "You may." As they swayed to the gentle melody, Andrea rested her head on Jay's shoulder, breathing in his cologne. She felt safe in his arms, accepted for who she was. "Thank you," she murmured. Jay pulled back slightly to look at her. "For what?" "For this," she gestured around them. "For accepting me, for making me feel beautiful and valued. I've never experienced anything like this before." Jay's eyes softened. "Andrea, you are beautiful and valuable, just as you are. I'm honored that you chose to share this experience with me." As the song came to an end, Jay leaned in, his lips brushing against hers in a soft, sweet kiss. Andrea's heart soared. In that moment, everything felt right with the world. The rest of the evening passed. As the last song faded away and people began to leave, Andrea felt a pang of sadness. She didn't want this magical night to end. Jay seemed to sense her mood. "Hey," he said softly, "the night doesn't have to be over yet. There's a 24-hour diner not far from here. Want to grab some late-night pancakes?" Andrea's face lit up. "That sounds perfect." They drove to the diner, the car filled with comfortable silence and the occasional burst of laughter as they reminisced about funny moments from the prom. The diner was nearly empty when they arrived, save for a few night owls nursing cups of coffee. They slid into a booth, ordering stacks of fluffy pancakes and steaming mugs of hot chocolate. As they waited for their food, Jay reached across the table, taking Andrea's hand in his. "I had an amazing time tonight," he said, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. "So did I," Andrea replied, her heart fluttering at his touch. "I never imagined my first prom could be this wonderful." Their pancakes arrived, drowning in syrup and butter. As they ate, they talked about everything and nothing, their hopes, their dreams, their fears. Andrea found herself opening up about her journey as a crossdresser, about the struggles and joys of discovering and embracing her true self. Jay listened attentively, his eyes never judging, only understanding and supportive. When she finished, he squeezed her hand. "Thank you for sharing that with me, Andrea. You're an incredibly brave and beautiful person, inside and out." As the first light of dawn began to peek through the diner windows, they reluctantly decided it was time to call it a night. Jay drove Andrea home, the car ride filled with comfortable silence and the occasional yawn. When they pulled up in front of her apartment building, Jay turned to her.
"Andrea, I know this might be forward, but I'd really like to see you again. Would you like to go on another date sometime?"
Andrea's heart soared. "I'd love that," she said, a smile spreading across her face. Jay leaned in, kissing her softly. "Good night, Andrea. Sweet dreams." As Andrea watched Jay's car disappear down the street, she felt a sense of contentment wash over her. This night had been more than just a prom or a date. It had been a milestone, a turning point in her journey of self-discovery and acceptance. She made her way up to her apartment, her feet aching from hours of dancing in heels, but her heart light and full of joy. As she carefully removed her makeup and hung up her beautiful dress, she couldn't stop smiling. In the quiet of her bedroom, Andrea caught her reflection in the mirror. The person looking back at her was radiant, confident, and above all, authentic. For the first time in her life, she felt truly comfortable in her own skin. As she drifted off to sleep, Andrea's mind was filled with visions of emerald dresses, twinkling lights, and Jay's kind smile. She knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, she was ready to face them. Because now she had experienced the joy of being her true self, and nothing could ever take that away from her. The days following the prom were filled with a newfound sense of confidence for Andrea. She found herself incorporating more feminine elements into her daily life, no longer feeling the need to completely compartmentalize her identity. A dash of mascara here, a flowy blouse there, small changes that made her feel more like herself. Her second date with Jay was a picnic in the park. They spread out a checkered blanket under a large oak tree, sharing sandwiches and laughing as they tried to keep the wind from blowing away their napkins. As the afternoon sun warmed their faces, Andrea felt a sense of peace she had never known before.
"You know,"
Jay said, popping a grape into his mouth, "I've been thinking a lot about what you told me at the diner after the prom." Andrea felt a flicker of nervousness. "Oh?" Jay nodded, his expression serious but kind.
"I want you to know that I see you, Andrea. All of you. And I think you're amazing."
Tears pricked at the corners of Andrea's eyes. She had spent so long hiding parts of herself, terrified of rejection. To be seen and accepted so completely was overwhelming. Jay continued,
"I know this journey isn't always easy, but I want you to know that I'm here. Whatever you need, whether it's support, understanding, or just someone to listen."
Andrea leaned in. "Thank you." As their relationship blossomed, Andrea found the courage to be more open about her identity with others in her life. She confided in a few close coworkers, and to her relief, they were supportive and understanding. One evening, as she and Jay were cooking dinner together in her apartment, Andrea broached a subject that had been on her mind. "Jay," she began, her voice slightly nervous, "I've been thinking about taking hormone therapy." Jay paused in his chopping of vegetables, giving her his full attention.
"That's a big step," he said gently. "How do you feel about it?"
Andrea took a deep breath.
"Scared, excited, nervous, all of the above, really. But I think it's something I need to do for myself, to fully align my body with who I am inside."
Jay put down the knife and moved to embrace her.
"I'm proud of you for considering what you need," he said, "and I'll be here to support you every step of the way, whatever you decide."
Wrapped in Jay's arms, Andrea felt a surge of love and gratitude. She had found not just a partner, but a true ally in her journey. The process of starting hormone therapy was not without its challenges. There were doctor's appointments, blood tests, and long discussions about the potential effects and risks. But through it all, Jay was by her side, holding her hand in waiting rooms and researching alongside her. As the months passed, Andrea began to notice subtle changes in her body and emotions. Her skin softened, her body hair thinned, and she felt a sense of emotional balance she had never experienced before. It wasn't always easy. There were mood swings and moments of doubt, but overall, she felt more and more like herself with each passing day. 1 year after the prom, Jay surprised Andrea with a special date. He blindfolded her and drove her to a mystery location, refusing to give her any hints despite her playful attempts at guessing. When he finally removed the blindfold, Andrea gasped. They were back at the ballroom where they had attended the prom, but this time it was empty save for a small table set for 2 in the middle of the dance floor. "Jay, what is this?" she asked, her voice filled with wonder. He smiled, leading her to the table.
I wanted to celebrate how far you've come this past year. How far we've come together.
As they enjoyed a candlelit dinner, memories of that first magical night came flooding back. But this time there was no anxiety, no fear of judgment. Just love, acceptance, and the joy of being truly, completely herself. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more wonderful content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.